Hello there, and as usual, I'm Aaron from LastStandGamers, and welcome back to the Fleet Training Exercise, a series that is going to help prepare you and your fleet for war. Now, in this episode, we're going to be covering fleet or battle group tactics, as well as some very useful formations for defensive, attacking, and traveling through space. Let's get started. Now, before we go on to actually taking a look at the formations and tactics, I want to talk about a few things that space has over conventional sort of ship battles. Now, it's all nice and dandy looking at it from this angle, all the ships are on one plane, but people can actually attack from multiple angles. They're not going to necessarily come from straight on like that ship is there. They could come from below, behind, and formations like this have to be rotated and changed to actually be effective in them different sorts of angles and environments, especially when it comes to being surrounded from multiple directions, up, down, and all around. You really got to keep your head and your wits about yourself. So let's take a look at our first formation. Now, from above, you can see our battle group is traveling through space. We've actually got two large battleships or battle cruisers up at the front, and we've got one on the rear for rear security. Our support ships are safely tucked within the middle, and on the flanks we have both of our fighters. Now I'm going to show you what happens if we come under contact from one direction. This is a very safe sort of movement formation, and I'm going to show you how to react to different positions with it. So as you can see here, what's actually happening is the rear ship is moving up into a front position to help defend from a frontal sort of attack. Once it reaches that position, it'll shut off, and you can move into other sorts of attack formations from here. Now, from this position here, we can also receive attacks from the left and right flanks and have that very sharp sort of wedge spearhead to defend and fight off them attacks. So for this next traveling tactic, I want to show you this formation. Now, this formation has our battle cruisers all lined up on one side, and now imagine we're traveling around a hostile asteroid, hostile planet, something that we know we can be attacked from. We've got all our firepower ready on that side to engage. Within the center, we've got our support crafts to snipe, as well as to provide fighters from the belly, and then on this side, to add a little bit of protection, we've also got our frigates. So this side is not completely exposed, and we can move into a lot of formations from this as well. Now, as we look at this from above, we're going to be looking at the swarm or net tactic. Now, the idea of this is to drive a lot of firepower around the enemy craft by flanking, but at the same time not getting your own ship stuck in a crossfire. And I'll show you exactly what I mean now. So now, as we look above, we can actually see we've sprung the net. Our frigates have flanked around to the side, delivering them side blows, and we've also pushed in with the support craft. So we're really spreading the enemy ship's firepower between the fleet, so all the ships are absorbing less damage over time. And that also means we can get a lot more firepower out of the enemy. Now, if I come a little bit lower, you can see we've also deployed the fighters up here to the flanks, so these can actually deploy and engage any other fighters they spring out and stop them from coming up behind and taking sort of key assets out. We've got them spread across the whole rear of the fleet here, and what we can do with this is really bombard the fleet from multiple angles and take a lot of damage while we're doing so. Another important factor of this is not to get stuck in a crossfire. Now, you don't want to flank all the way behind them, because the rounds from these front ships will just simply pass through and you'll be hitting your own, and that's why I've tried to get into a situation where we've got most weapons actually firing at an angle where it'll get in a crossfire without actually destroying your own ships. Another thing to take into consideration, you can also see we've dropped the depth of some of the ships here within the fleet, so we get into more angles of coverage on the attack. Now, the final formation I want to show you guys is a defensive one. Now, as you can see in the center, we actually have the support craft. On the outer rim of that, we have the battle cruisers, and free to patrol around the edge, we have the frigates as well as the fighters. Now, this works if you're static, you're taking inventory, or you're doing something where your ships need to be static in space for a long period of time, or you're actually attacked from multiple directions. Now, you're probably wondering, Aaron, where did you get these sort of results? How do you know these formations work? Well, the first thing I wanted to do was look at traditional sort of ship tactics, and then I realized that they're not going to work in space. These multiple planes, these multiple directions an attack could come from, and as you can see here, if we rotate our ships to a different angle, different position from this formation, we'll get the same sort of result. And that's why I try to apply many formations that would have the same result if you rotated the ships into that position. But this is, of course, my take on these formations, and hopefully you found them useful. In the future of Space Engineers, hopefully when it's able to support much larger battles, this is something that we're going to see and enjoy. Anyway, I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and I can't wait to hear what your sort of ideas of tactics for larger sort of fleet battles are.